Good afternoon. Happy Friday, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And guys, I'm here today to review a new horror book. One recommended to me from my LCS owner, Chet. He knows my taste. He knows I'm a big fan of John Carpenter's The Thing. He knows I love my 80s horror. And there's a book that came out that does 80s horror right. It does it more than right. It does it perfectly. This book is a great, fantastic read. And any of you nostalgia junkies out there that are jonesing for a good 80s horror fix, you cannot go wrong. Go on over to the independent bookshelf. Boom Studios has on the shelf there The Approach. I got the two covers that my LCS had. And as we're talking, I'll put up the other covers over there for you to see. But The Approach is, and we're going to read notes so we don't get it wrong, right? Because credits are important for the people involved. So The Approach is written by Jeremy Hahn and Jason Hurley. And when I say this is a perfect homage to 80s horror, it truly is. John Carpenter's The Thing, as everyone that's watched my channel knows, is my favorite horror movie of all time. One of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time. One I watch repeatedly, week in, week out. I love it. I also grew up with things like The Monster Squad for the funny side of things, or Gremlins, little kid friendly. But I loved the B movie features too, like Puppet Master, Aliens. I loved. There's just so much great 80s horror out there that was taking risks, was creating the genre and sending it in new directions and not afraid to be its own thing. The Approach is the perfect love letter to that era of horror. It is fantastic. So it's, like I said, it's written by Jeremy Hahn and Jason Hurley. And it's illustrated by Jesus Arbas and Leah Caballero, and with colors by Brett Weldeley and letters by Ed Dukeshire. And in this book, man, we're introduced to two characters. Mac, who is the seasoned veteran and has been doing the job, and these are airport employees, has been doing the job for years. And the new person on the shift, Abigail, who Mac is training. And he is training her like in a grandfatherly way, right? He's looking out for her best interest, but he's also letting her do things on her own. He's not scared to let her go out and do what she needs to do, try what she needs to do. And it's really cool. It's a different dynamic than the old burly guy that knows better than anybody else. So they don't go that cliched route. They go in this nice caring route, which really connects you to both characters. Abigail's a fun character as she's getting to know things. She's gung-ho, she's ready to learn, she's willing to take direction from Mac, and she's willing to do her own thing and be independent. Mac himself, he's seen everything, or so he thinks, and this hiccup, this storm that just happened, this major blizzard, is throwing another wrench into the works, and he's letting Abigail know it's going to be a doozy of a first night. They have to get this plane on the ground that's coming in. They got to get the passengers inside. They're going to have to find a way to keep them warm, keep them fed, keep them safe, along with themselves. So Mac's helping her prepare for that. You have the other airport employees that they're interacting with. And what this story does well, what the writing does well by these two guys, is it sets up the main characters and it sets up the situation through dialogue. You get the tension through the dialogue. You get a good feel for each character and their individual tendencies, nuances, and just you understand them. You instantly kind of know what they're about, who they are, and it's all done subtly through dialogue, the correct way. They're building stories through conversations between the characters. None of it's forced. It all flows. It's all great. And it feels like you're spending time with friends almost while you're reading this. But friends you know are going to be in a dire situation at some point, and it's really, really good. The tension's building, just like in John Carpenter's The Thing, and I'll keep making that reference because that's the other movie I thought built tension so well. And this, in the written form, does it as well as that. The unease is permeating through each page. It's becoming more and more of a thing. The plane lands, they get the passengers in safely, and before you know it, they see another plane in the air. They're being radioed in, and this plane crash lands. And when they get more information on it, it's a plane that disappeared 27 years ago. And now our stage is set. They pull what they think is one survivor from the plane, only to discover that he has not survived. He is dead. They have to store him somewhere while they tend to the living. And we get the setup for the introduction of a monster. And this first issue just really, really sets the tone, gets you endeared with the characters, and you know that you're in for one hell of a ride with the ensuing issues. By the end of this issue, I was totally captivated by Mac and Abigail. I cared about their well-being. I cared about their situational awareness and able to take care of the rest of the people and crew that were stuck at the airport with them, and about their own survival. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. As a first issue, like I said, Jesus Harvas's art is so ideal for this. It fits the tone. It fits the story. It's just absolutely great. And the writing, I couldn't be more on board for. This reads like people who grew up on 80s horror. It reads like people who have a deep understanding of what made the greats great, right? And when you're telling a story like the one they're telling, you have to understand how to build tension. You have to understand how to make the reader care about your main characters. They do. But most importantly, in a good 80s horror movie, you could have a great monster, but unless there was the proper setup to the reveal of that monster, it didn't matter. But when it did have the proper setup, the monster was glorious. And in this, the proper setup's there. They do their due by building the story and egging you along, giving you just enough to keep the tension rising, keep it mounting until the big monster reveal. And the payoff is great and leaves you really wanting the next issue. They do their due diligence with the storytelling before the reveal, and the reveal is all the better for it. So overall, on a scale of 5, we are giving this a 5. It's great. So great that I couldn't wait to sit down and actually do a review of this book. I'm going to read it again. It's probably going to be something that I reread over and over again. It's going to become one of those series for me. And hopefully the rest of them are going to be as good as this. I have no doubt that they will be, just from the love, care, and direction of the first book. So if you're a horror fan out there, if you're a fan of 80s horror and 80s monsters, and you want good storytelling with a well-drawn out tension, building to a crescendo, to a reveal of a monster, all that stuff we loved about a great 80s horror movie, then you owe it to yourself to go to your LCS and pick up The Approach. Fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. That's it for my soapbox. This book is great. If you're a horror fan, you need to check it out. Until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code KEEPITCASUAL for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.